The twin suns of Nova Prime hung low in the sky, painting the bustling city of Leora in soft orange and violet hues. Streets hummed with the energy of hundreds of beings from across the galaxy, merchants calling out their wares, and explorers, like Eli Parker, moving from stall to stall with careful curiosity. Eli had always loved this part of life, the quiet thrill of discovery, the endless variety of species, and the unpredictable stories that each day brought. But today he felt a different kind of curiosity, one that tugged at him with urgency. Eli's mission was simple, or so it seemed. He was cataloging rare interstellar plants that had been brought to Nova Prime's central gardens for study. Most humans considered him odd for choosing such a quiet, precise occupation, but Eli enjoyed it. He had always found joy in the small details, the way sunlight refracted through a leaf's veins, the tiny patterns of alien pollen, or the way certain plants seemed almost aware of his presence. He knelt by a cluster of blue-spotted ferns, carefully noting their growth patterns in his hollow pad, when a sharp, humming noise cut through the background chatter of the city. Eli froze, his fingers hovering over the pad. The hum grew louder, unnatural in its clarity, a vibration that seemed almost alive. He looked up, scanning the sky. A small streak of silver darted across the twin suns' light. A craft unlike anything he had ever seen. Without thinking, Eli ran toward the source. Curiosity, pure and unrestrained, drove him forward. Around him, pedestrians paused, staring at the sky in confusion and awe. The craft descended slowly, hovering just above a quiet park at the edge of the city. Its surface shimmered, reflecting the sun's light in dazzling patterns. Eli's heart pounded, not from fear, but from excitement. As he approached, the hatch on the craft slid open with a hiss. A figure appeared, stepping into the light. She was unlike any being Eli had seen. Her skin shimmered with a soft lavender glow, and her hair, silver with streaks of violet, floated slightly as if moved by a gentle wind of its own. She wore a flowing suit of fabric that seemed to ripple and shift with every movement. And her eyes, oh, her eyes, were the color of molten gold, filled with intelligence, curiosity, and a hint of caution. Eli, ever the impulsive human, blurted out the first words that came to his mind. "Hello, Cutie." The effect was instantaneous. The alien, Princess Lyra of Valoria, froze mid-step. Her golden eyes widened, her cheeks turning a brilliant shade of red that glowed faintly in the evening light. For a moment she seemed unsure if she had been insulted, amused, or just completely bewildered. The human's way of speaking was unpredictable, and she had never encountered such casual friendliness from a stranger. I am Princess Lyra," she finally stammered, her voice melodic but quivering slightly. "I did not expect anyone to greet me in this manner." Eli scratched the back of his head, grinning sheepishly. Yeah. I guess I didn't realize. Well, you know, greetings and stuff. I'm Eli Parker, explorer, plant cataloger, and sometimes trouble magnet." Lyra's blush deepened. She had been trained to maintain composure at all times, to speak with dignity, and to move with precision. Yet here was a human, messy, energetic, and oddly fearless, making her feel flustered in ways she couldn't understand. Her entire world, structured and disciplined, suddenly seemed lighter, more chaotic, and strangely charming. You are unusual," she whispered, almost to herself. Eli leaned closer, pointing at her spacecraft. "So, did you crash, or just park awkwardly because, wow, that is some serious tech you've got there?" Lyra blinked. "I am on a diplomatic mission. A miscalculation brought me here instead. I did not intend to land on Nova Prime." Her voice held pride and embarrassment simultaneously. Diplomacy was her duty, but now she was stranded on an unfamiliar planet, facing a human who seemed utterly unconcerned about protocol. Eli nodded slowly. "Yeah, that sounds complicated, but don't worry. I'm good at helping, sort of." He gestured toward the park and the surrounding area. "Follow me. It's quieter over here." Less chance of anyone noticing you, for now. Lyra hesitated, scanning the crowd. Even the most advanced Valorian stealth tech couldn't make her invisible, and she didn't fully understand human cities. But there was something in Eli's calm confidence, a strange, unshakable courage that made her trust him. She nodded once, taking his hand briefly before stepping forward. The sensation of holding a human hand was surprising. Warm, solid, real. As they reached the quiet park, Eli gestured toward a small bench near a flowering grove. Sit, tell me everything. Start with your name, home planet, favorite food, whatever you feel like sharing. Lyra hesitated. Sharing personal details with a human was unprecedented. Yet the awkward friendliness, the lack of pretension, made her feel safer than she expected. I am Lyra, Princess of Valoria. My mission was to observe and establish communication with allied planets. I did not anticipate being here. Eli nodded thoughtfully. Allied planets, huh? Sounds fancy. And, did you bring anything cool with you? Like gadgets, magic crystals, or alien snacks? Lyra tilted her head, studying him. Humans were so unpredictable. They laughed at things that weren't funny, worried about trivial matters, yet they could act bravely without hesitation. I have communication devices and navigation equipment, she admitted. Nothing edible, unfortunately. Eli grinned. Well, that's fine. I've got protein bars and a thermos of coffee. Probably not as exciting as alien tech, but they keep humans alive. Lyra's golden eyes softened. There was a simple charm in humans, a resilience and ingenuity that Valorians often lacked. They relied on advanced technology, careful planning, and rigid rules. Humans just adapted. They improvised. They acted on instinct and heart. Perhaps that was why she found herself drawn to Eli's messy, spontaneous courage. Before they could continue their conversation, a low rumble echoed. Through the park. Eli's ears perked up. That's not good. He pointed to the edge of the grove where shadows moved unnaturally fast. Lyra stiffened. Valorians could detect subtle energy shifts, and the readings were alarming. Someone, or something, was coming. They have found me, Lyra whispered, her voice tense. The elegance and composure of her usual demeanor gave way to urgency. We must hide. Eli's grin widened, the kind that made him look foolish but fearless. Don't worry. Humans have a few tricks, follow me. He led her deeper into the grove, ducking behind trees and large rocks. His movements were quick, efficient, and slightly chaotic, but effective. Lyra struggled to keep pace, her suit shimmering with each step. As they hid, Eli glanced at her. Okay, you're a princess, right? You can probably do fancy stuff like teleport or shoot lasers or something. Lyra's blush returned. We do not use powers for trivial escape maneuvers. That is reckless, Eli chuckled. Well, lucky for you, humans are great at being reckless. He paused, listening to the rustling sounds of movement nearby. And sometimes, that works in our favor. For a long moment they crouched in silence. Lyra realized that being with a human was exhausting, confusing, and exhilarating all at once. Her training had never prepared her for this. A stranger who could make her laugh, fluster her, and protect her all at the same time. Finally, the noise faded, and Eli exhaled dramatically. See? Told you humans could handle it. Sometimes, luck is on our side. Lyra studied him, a mixture of admiration and uncertainty in her gaze. You are extraordinary, human. Your courage is unlike anything I have witnessed. Eli winked. Thanks. That's what I do. And hey, don't worry about the cutie thing earlier. I guess I just say whatever comes to mind. Seems like it worked. Lyra's golden eyes glimmered, and she turned a delicate shade of red once more. Perhaps it did. For the first time, both human and alien felt the strange connection. that often sparks adventure, a combination of trust, curiosity, and the thrill of the unknown. Neither knew what challenges awaited, but one thing was certain. This encounter would change them both forever. Above comma. The twin suns dipped lower, casting long shadows over Nova Prime. A hidden adventure had begun, sparked by a single playful greeting and a princess's bright, embarrassed blush. Eli led Princess Lyra through the quiet streets behind Nova Prime's Central Park, moving carefully to avoid the larger crowds. The city's lights flickered on as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the streets in soft blues and purples. Nova Prime, though usually safe, had its share of curious onlookers. Eli had learned long ago that humans could sometimes blend in with the chaos, but aliens, especially a glowing silver-haired princess, stood out no matter what. "So," Eli whispered, glancing at Lyra, "we need a safe place for a bit. Somewhere no one will recognize a royal spaceship landed in the middle of town." Lyra nodded. "I trust your judgment, human, but we must act swiftly. Detection signals are already active. They may track me here." Eli grinned. "That's why humans are good at problems like this. We think fast, adapt faster, and improvise when everything else fails." Lyra gave him a small, skeptical look, but she followed anyway. Eli knew she was curious despite herself. Valorians rarely trusted instinct over calculation. Yet she seemed quietly impressed by his confidence. They reached Eli's apartment, a modest space filled with tools, books, and scattered equipment. Plants lined the windowsills, thriving under soft artificial light. Eli moved to a cabinet and pulled out a blanket and a small portable tent. "This'll do for now," he said. "We can set up here without anyone noticing you." Lyra studied the simple human arrangements with mild fascination. "You live modestly, but comfortable. Your species values efficiency over opulence." Eli shrugged. "Comfort is relative. I like what works, and it gives me space to work on inventions, fix gadgets, and survive surprises, like finding a Valorian princess hiding in my city." Lyra's golden eyes widened slightly. She had never seen a human so unafraid, so open. Valorians were trained to follow protocol, plan every move, and avoid uncertainty. Humans thrived in uncertainty. That idea fascinated her. After they settled in, Eli began inspecting her spacecraft. The moment Lyra stepped away, he knelt by the damaged navigation console. Sparks flickered faintly from exposed circuits. Eli's human curiosity kicked in, and he began analyzing the components with a combination of tools and intuition. "This is advanced," Eli muttered. "Way beyond anything humans can normally make. But hey, there's always a way to fix it." Lyra returned, observing silently. She had expected humans to panic or freeze in the face of such technology, but Eli worked confidently, mixing analysis with creativity. "You repair with improvisation," Lyra remarked. "Your species trust trial and error more than calculation." Eli looked up and grinned. "Yeah, sometimes rules are useful, but sometimes you gotta just try stuff until it works." "Works, most of the time." Lyra studied him for a long moment. There was bravery in this human, the kind that didn't rely on advanced systems or careful planning. Just heart. As Eli worked, he hummed softly, moving wires, tightening connections, and even using a small energy coil as a makeshift stabilizer. Sparks flew and the console flickered to life. "There," Eli exclaimed, stepping back. "She's functional, sort of. Could use better calibration, but that'll wait. You're ready to communicate at least." Lyra tilted her head, impressed despite herself. "Remarkable. Your species' ingenuity exceeds expectation." Eli laughed. "Thanks. Humans get a lot of things wrong, but when we're cornered, we shine." The soft hum of the repaired console was comforting, but Lyra's brow furrowed. "Eli, we cannot remain here. My presence may draw attention. The Tharvans, rivals of Valoria, may track me. We must plan our next move." Eli nodded. "Yeah, but first, let's understand each other. You've got fancy tech, royal training, and tons of rules. I've got me, this city, and a few ideas that usually work. Together, maybe we have a chance. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. Agreed. Eli moved to the window, pointing at the darkening skyline. The city's big. We can use that. Humans know how to disappear in plain sight. The Tharvans, they'll expect stealth, not chaos. That's our advantage. Lyra's golden eyes flickered with interest. Chaos is unfamiliar to me. Yet, it intrigues me. They spent the next hour discussing plans. Eli sketched ideas on his holopad, using simple diagrams and symbols. Lyra absorbed each suggestion, comparing them to Valorian strategies. She noticed a key difference. Humans did not rely solely on technology or rank. They relied on quick thinking, creativity, and sometimes luck. Suddenly, a soft beep came from the spacecraft console. Lyra stiffened. They are near. Detection. Signals are stronger. We must leave soon. Eli smiled faintly. Good. That means it's time to test our human advantage. Lyra followed as Eli led her through back alleys and service tunnels, avoiding main roads and populated areas. The city lights shimmered above them, and the faint hum of distant vehicles mixed with the sounds of nightlife. Eli moved confidently, adjusting their route when minor obstacles appeared. Your species, Lyra said quietly, adapts quickly. Unlike Valorians, you do not rely solely on planning. You improvise. Eli grinned. Improvising keeps life exciting. Plus, it keeps people guessing. Advantage humans. As they approached an old freight yard, Eli stopped and pointed to a stack of cargo containers. This'll work. We can hide here, rest, and figure out the next move. Worst case, we build a distraction. Lyra studied the containers. I do not know how to create diversions in your manner, but I will try. Together, they climbed behind the containers. Eli pulled out a small gadget, a human-made device that emitted light and sound, designed to draw attention. He tested it with a mischievous grin. This is a human trick, he explained. You use a little noise, a little flash, and suddenly everyone focuses on something else. Works surprisingly well. Lyra watched carefully, learning the technique. She realized the brilliance of human improvisation, quick, simple, effective. It was the kind of strategy Valorians rarely considered. Hours passed as they rested, sharing stories of their worlds. Eli spoke of Earth's chaotic cities, unpredictable humans, and strange traditions. Lyra described Valoria, its vast floating cities, precise protocols, and the elegance of Valorian life. The more they shared, the more Lyra admired humans, not for power or technology, but for courage, creativity, and adaptability. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the yard. Eli's instincts kicked in. Uh-oh. Visitors. Lyra stiffened. The Tharvans had found them. Eli pointed to a narrow exit between containers. Follow me. Quick thinking time. They darted through the narrow path, dodging shadows and leaping over crates. Eli's human unpredictability worked in their favor, confusing their pursuers. Lyra followed, her training helping her move silently, but she couldn't match Eli's chaotic brilliance. At last, they reached the edge of the yard. Eli pulled out a compact Valorian scanner from her spacecraft. We need to know where they are, can't fight blind. Lyra quickly calibrated the device. They are approaching from multiple directions. Human improvisation will be tested. Eli grinned. Exactly my point. Using quick thinking, Eli set traps, simple human-style distractions, lights, sounds, and smoke from portable devices. The Tharvans were momentarily confused, giving Eli and Lyra a chance to slip away. As they moved, Lyra spoke softly. Your bot methods are unorthodox but effective. I understand why humans survive despite limitations. Eli laughed. Hey, we're not perfect, but sometimes being unpredictable is the best weapon you have. Plus, it keeps life interesting. Lyra's golden eyes softened and she allowed herself a small smile. Interesting, indeed. By the time dawn began to touch the skies, Eli and Lyra had made it to a safe observation point on the outskirts of the city. The Tharvans were still searching, but human ingenuity had bought them time. Lyra gazed at Nova Prime from above, thinking of her homeworld and the lessons she had already learned from a single human. "You have changed my perspective," she said quietly. "Humans are more capable than I ever imagined. Your courage, your creativity, your ability to act without certainty, it is remarkable." Eli shrugged, leaning back on a rock. "Told you. Humans shine in chaos. That's our advantage." Lyra's blush returned, a mix of admiration and shyness. "Perhaps it is your human spirit that makes you extraordinary, Eli Parker." Eli smiled, looking at the rising suns. "And maybe that's why I like working with you, Princess Lyra." Above the city, the twin suns rose, casting golden light over the rooftops. Eli and Lyra prepared for the journey ahead, knowing it would be dangerous, but together they had discovered a new strength. One that combined human courage with Valorian intelligence, a combination that might just outshine any threat in the galaxy. The night sky above Nova Prime shimmered with distant stars as Eli and Princess Lyra prepared to leave the planet. Their temporary safety had only delayed the inevitable. The Tharvans, relentless in their pursuit, would not give up. Eli had spent hours studying Lyra's spacecraft, improvising repairs and enhancements with human ingenuity, and now it was ready for takeoff. Lyra floated beside him, her lavender glow dimmed slightly in thought. "Eli, I must admit, your methods, unconventional as they are, have kept us alive. But the Tharvans will not relent easily. Our next moves must be precise." Eli grinned, adjusting a small console on the spacecraft. "Precision's great and all, but you know what humans do best? Improvise. You throw in a little chaos, a little luck, and suddenly even the best planned attacks fall apart." Lyra raised a delicate eyebrow, both intrigued and skeptical. "Chaos is not a concept in Valorian tactics. Yet it seems effective in your species." Eli winked. "You'll see." The spacecraft hummed to life, its sleek silver body reflecting the rising twin suns. Eli guided it smoothly into the sky while Lyra monitored the Tharvan pursuit signals. The Tharvans had dispatched multiple small attack ships faster than most vessels to track her escape. But humans, Eli reminded her, could turn the impossible into opportunity. "Hold on tight," Eli called, pressing a series of buttons. With a sudden burst of speed, the ship shot into the stratosphere, leaving Nova Prime far below. The Tharvan ships responded immediately, sleek black crafts darting through the atmosphere like shadows. Lyra's eyes glowed gold as she activated defensive shields. "They are fast. Eli, we must use strategy. Simple evasion will not suffice." Eli leaned back, grinning. "Strategy? Sure. But strategy plus a human twist, that's where the fun begins." He activated a small holographic map, plotting their course. "We zigzag through the asteroid belt nearby. It's tricky, but humans love tricky. Gives them less chance to follow." The spacecraft wove through the belt, dodging massive rocks that drifted silently in space. Lyra's heart raced. Even for a Valorian trained in piloting, navigating a dense asteroid field at high speed was dangerous. Eli, however, seemed to anticipate every move, shifting the ship with a natural, almost instinctive rhythm. "You are fearless," Lyra said quietly. "Most beings would hesitate, yet you act with confidence." Eli shrugged. "Fear's natural. I just try not to let it stop me. Humans, we improvise. That's our edge." The Tharvans followed, but their rigid formation made them predictable. Eli's human unpredictability allowed them to slip past multiple ships, using the asteroids as shields. Lyra's gold eyes widened in admiration. She had always believed Valorians were superior in combat and strategy, but humans had something different. Hours passed as they maneuvered through space. Eli took turns piloting while Lyra monitored sensors, plotting their next moves. Despite the tension, a quiet camaraderie grew between them. Lyra's initial embarrassment at Eli's playful greeting faded, replaced by a deep respect for his courage and ingenuity. At one point, the Tharvans regrouped, trying a coordinated attack. Eli's grin widened. All right, time for the human twist. He activated a series of energy decoys, bright, fast-moving holograms of their ship. The Tharvans, confused by the sudden multiplicity, fired at the wrong targets. Lyra blinked. Deception. You humans employ simple tools, yet they achieve effective results. Simple but clever, Eli replied, and effective enough to keep us alive. Humans always find a way. For several hours, the chase continued. The spacecraft darted through asteroid fields, skimmed past icy comets, and navigated narrow gravity wells. Lyra began to understand a profound truth. Human survival did not depend solely on power, speed, or intelligence. It depended on courage, adaptability, and the willingness to act when others hesitated. Eventually, they reached a small uncharted planet, a rocky, barren world with deep canyons and jagged cliffs. Eli pointed to the surface. We can land there. Hard for the Tharvans to follow. Plus, I have an idea. Lyra's eyes narrowed. You intend to fight them here? Eli shook his head. Not exactly. Humans don't always fight. We distract, improvise, and survive. Let me show you. He guided the spacecraft down through turbulent winds and rocky obstacles. The Tharvans, unwilling to risk direct collision with the planet, hesitated at the edge of orbit. Eli's ship touched down smoothly in a narrow canyon, engines barely making a sound. He opened the hatch and led Lyra to the canyon floor. Using small devices from his pack, Eli set up traps, flashers, noise emitters, and smoke generators. The idea was simple: confuse the enemy, make them waste time, and give themselves an advantage. Lyra watched in awe as he worked quickly, efficiently, and with an almost playful creativity. Your methods are remarkable, she whispered. Valorians rely on precision and rules. You defy them. Eli chuckled. Rules are fine, but sometimes you gotta break them to survive. That's the human advantage. As the first Tharvan scouts descended, Eli activated the devices. Lights flashed, sounds echoed, and clouds of smoke billowed through the canyon. The Tharvans fired, but their sensors misread the decoys. Eli and Lyra moved silently along the canyon walls, watching as their pursuers struggled to adapt. You are extraordinary, Lyra murmured. Your courage, your creativity, your instinct, it surpasses expectation. Eli shrugged, smiling. Thanks. But it's not just me, humans. We inspire each other. And maybe, just maybe, it's the chaos in our favor. The Tharvans eventually retreated, unable to capture them or understand the unpredictable tactics. Eli and Lyra stood on a cliff edge, looking out at the barren world. See? Eli said, his voice full of quiet triumph. Humans shine when things get messy. We improvise, survive, and sometimes win. Lyra's gold eyes glimmered. I understand. Your species is extraordinary, not merely for technology, but for spirit, courage, adaptability. That is what makes you special. Eli grinned. You're catching on fast. And hey, we're just getting started. They spent the night on the rocky planet planning their next moves. Lyra shared insights about Valorian defense techniques, and Eli adapted them with a human twist. Slowly, she began to realize that even an advanced alien society could learn from humans, not because humans were stronger, but because they were daring, clever, and unpredictable. As they prepared to depart the next morning, Lyra approached Eli. I must admit, your species impresses me. My assumptions were flawed. Humans are capable of extraordinary things. Courage, creativity, loyalty, all are remarkable. Eli laughed. Glad to hear it. And you know, you're not bad yourself. Valorian or not, you're learning the human way fast. Lyra's cheeks glowed faintly, a soft mix of pride and shyness. Perhaps I am learning. The spacecraft lifted off, gliding into the vastness of space. Stars stretched endlessly around them, a reminder of the dangers and wonders that awaited. Together, human and princess, they faced a universe that had underestimated the power of courage, ingenuity, and friendship. For Lyra, the lesson was clear. Humans, with their unpredictable spirit and daring hearts, could overcome obstacles far greater than raw strength or technology. And for Eli, it was a confirmation of what he had always believed, that sometimes the smallest spark of creativity and courage could shine brighter than the most advanced alien power. The chase was far from over. The Tharvans would regroup, new dangers would arise, and the path ahead would test them in ways neither could predict. But one truth remained. As long as humans remained human, they would continue to surprise, adapt, and shine, even across the vast reaches of space. As the stars stretched into infinity, Eli looked at Lyra. Ready for the next adventure? Lyra smiled, her gold eyes reflecting distant suns. Yes, human. Let us see on where courage and ingenuity may take us next. The spacecraft soared through the velvet blackness of space, its hull reflecting distant stars like scattered diamonds. Eli Parker sat in the pilot's seat, fingers dancing over the controls, while Princess Lyra observed the Valorian homeworld, growing larger on the screens before her. Valoria was breathtaking, a planet of floating cities connected by shimmering bridges of light, surrounded by wisps of glowing clouds. Eli leaned back, grinning. Well, fancy place. Not bad for a royal visit. Lyra's gold eyes narrowed. Do not underestimate the situation, Eli. The Tharvans may have tracked us here. Their intent is not mere observation. They seek to conquer Valoria. If they succeed, countless lives will be lost. Eli's expression hardened. Then we won't let that happen. Humans are good at chaos. Sometimes, chaos wins wars. Lyra shook her head slightly, though she smiled faintly at his confidence. She had grown to admire this human, messy, unorthodox, and brave beyond measure. The Valorians often relied on meticulous planning, but Eli's unpredictability, combined with quick thinking, had already saved her life multiple times. Perhaps now, together, they could save her planet. As they entered Valoria's upper atmosphere, alarms blared on the spacecraft. Tharvan scouts had breached orbital defenses. Lyra's brow furrowed. They are closer than expected. Eli, we must act quickly. The advisors may not trust your methods, but time is against us. Eli leaned forward, eyes scanning the readings. Trust me, we've done crazy stuff before. We can do it again. But we'll need to blend human ingenuity with Valorian technology. Let's show them how it's done. They landed on a secluded platform outside the main city. Lyra's advisors awaited, clad in ceremonial robes and expressions of skepticism. Elder Commander Seelan stepped forward, arms crossed. Princess Lyra, your actions defy protocol. A human. Lyra held up a hand, cutting him off. Eli Parker has saved my life more than once. His strategies, though unconventional, are effective. I insist we follow his plan, the council murmured, doubt flickering in their golden eyes. The Valorians were proud of their precision and tradition, yet Lyra's resolve made them pause. Eli, feeling the weight of an entire civilization, watching, straightened his shoulders. Here's the deal, Eli said, stepping forward. The Tharvans think they can just waltz in because they have tech. That's true, but they can't predict chaos. They can't improvise like humans. And guess what? When you combine that with Valorian tech, they'll be in trouble. Lyra tilted her head, her cheeks faintly glowing. Chaos is still unfamiliar. But I trust your instincts, human. Eli smirked. Good. Let's save a planet. The plan was simple in theory, though dangerous in execution. Using the city's floating platforms and energy bridges, They would create multiple diversion points, forcing the Tharvans to split their forces. Eli and Lyra would guide select defense units to strike where the enemy least expected, combining human improvisation with Valorian precision. As the Tharvans descended, Lyra's advisors hesitated. Commander Seelan whispered, "Princess, are you certain?" Lyra's golden eyes blazed with determination. "Trust in what I have learned. Humans are capable of extraordinary things. Follow Eli's guidance." The battle began. Energy pulses streaked across the sky as Tharvan ships fired upon the city. Eli directed Valorian defense units, improvising diversions that confused the enemy. Smoke generators, light decoys, and unexpected movements disoriented the attackers, while Lyra's careful coordination ensured the city's safety. "Your methods are effective," Lyra admitted aloud as she guided a fleet through a narrow corridor, dodging enemy fire. "The combination of your unpredictability and our technology is formidable." Eli chuckled, hands flying over a holographic control panel. "Told you, humans shine when things get messy. Stick with me and we might just win this thing." Tharvan ships converged on the city's central energy hub, hoping to cripple Valoria's defenses. Eli's eyes lit up. "Perfect. That's exactly where we want them. Now Lyra, deploy the counter moves." Lyra's fingers danced over the console, activating energy shields, redirecting power flows and guiding strike teams with precise timing. Eli set off a series of diversions, causing Tharvan scouts to misfire repeatedly. The enemy grew frustrated, their coordinated strikes faltering against the unpredictable human-led tactics. Eli and Lyra moved together like a synchronized team, human intuition blending seamlessly with Valorian discipline. Each action was bold, unexpected, and effective. At one critical moment, a Tharvan flagship attempted to break through the city's central defenses. Eli frowned. "That's bad, but I have an idea." He tapped several holographic controls, creating holographic duplicates of the flagship in orbit. The Tharvans fired on the decoys, wasting ammunition while the real flagship drifted harmlessly outside the city's perimeter. Lyra's gold eyes widened in admiration. "Your improvisation surpasses expectation. No Valorian would have considered such unorthodox methods." "Sometimes the unorthodox wins," Eli replied with a grin. "Stick with it." Hours passed as the battle raged. The Tharvans began to retreat, their strategy crumbling under the combination of human ingenuity and Valorian technology. Lyra and Eli, exhausted but determined, directed the final defense, ensuring the city remained unharmed. Finally, the last of the Tharvans fled, their ships disappearing into the void. The city lights shone bright, the citizens safe, and the floating platforms of Valoria unbroken. Commander Seelan approached Lyra, his expression a mixture of relief and respect. "Princess, your guidance and the humans' methods have saved Valoria." Lyra glanced at Eli, a soft smile touching her lips. "Indeed, humans are extraordinary. Courage, creativity, unpredictability, these are strengths that complement our own." Eli shrugged modestly. "Glad I could help. Chaos and creativity, baby steps, you know. Works wonders." Lyra's golden eyes glimmered with gratitude. "I underestimated your species. Humans possess a spirit that cannot be replicated by technology or planning alone. Courage, ingenuity, loyalty, these make you remarkable." Eli smiled faintly. "Thanks. Means a lot coming from a princess." The Valorian Council gathered, their initial skepticism replaced by awe. Lyra stood tall, proud of her people's resilience and the human who had changed her perspective. Even the elders had to acknowledge that sometimes the unexpected, courage, improvisation, and quick thinking was as powerful as the most advanced technology. As the citizens celebrated their victory from the streets and floating gardens, Eli and Lyra found a quiet balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns rose again, bathing Valoria in soft golden light. You have shown me that strength is not only in perfection, Lyra said softly. It is in spirit, in daring to act, in the willingness to adapt. Humans are truly remarkable. Eli leaned on the railing, watching the glowing platforms. And you've shown me that even the most disciplined and advanced civilization can learn a little from chaos. Guess we make a good team, huh? Lyra smiled, a blush warming her cheeks. Yes, we do. They stayed there side by side, watching the city come alive. For Lyra, the events of the day had changed her understanding of the universe. Courage, creativity, and human unpredictability were not just quirks. They were powerful tools, capable of protecting entire civilizations. Eli felt the same. Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy, dismissed as fragile or primitive. But moments like this reminded him why they endured: heart, ingenuity, and the ability to act when others hesitated. Though the battle was won, the galaxy remained, vast and full of unknown dangers. Yet now, Princess Lyra knew she had a human ally she could trust, and Eli knew that humans, despite their flaws, could leave a mark even among the stars. As they turned back toward the city, ready to oversee the restoration and celebrate with their people, Lyra spoke quietly. Eli, thank you for your courage, your guidance, your friendship. Eli smiled, shrugging. No need to thank me. Humans just do what we can, and sometimes we get lucky. Lyra's blush returned, a soft pink glow against her lavender skin. Perhaps it is not luck alone. Perhaps it is your spirit that shines most brightly. Eli laughed softly. Well, if you say so, Princess. Above Valoria, the twin suns bathed the city in light. Below, citizens moved freely, safe and hopeful once again. And somewhere between courage and chaos, between tradition and improvisation, two unlikely allies, human and princess, had forged a bond that could change the course of history across the stars. Valoria glowed under the twin suns, a world of floating cities, glittering bridges, and bustling citizens celebrating the victory over the Tharvans. The energy of the city was alive with music, laughter, and the faint hum of advanced technology. Eli Parker walked beside Princess Lyra, both weary but content. The battle was over, yet the bond they had forged through danger and unpredictability remained as strong as ever. Lyra's golden eyes scanned the crowd. Eli, the people, they are safe because of you, because of your courage, your creativity, your spirit. Eli smiled, brushing a speck of dust off his jacket. I just did what humans do. We improvise, we act, we try not to panic, and sometimes we get lucky. Lyra shook her head, a small, amused smile tugging at her lips. It is not luck alone. I have witnessed your decisions, your instinct, your willingness to act when others hesitate. That is remarkable. Eli grinned, feeling the warmth of genuine admiration. Well, I guess humans have their moments. He paused, glancing at her with a teasing look. And you're not bad yourself. Learned fast, adapted faster, made a lot of mistakes, but survived every single one. Lyra's cheeks flushed a soft pink, a rare display of human-like embarrassment for a Valorian princess. Perhaps I have learned from you, human. Eli laughed softly. We all learn from each other. That's the fun part of adventures. The city council approached, nodding respectfully. Commander Seelan stepped forward, his usual stern expression softened by gratitude. Princess Lyra, Eli Parker, you have shown us that courage and ingenuity are as important as technology. Humans may be unpredictable, but their spirit can rival the most advanced Valorian strategies. Lyra inclined her head. Indeed, humans possess a unique combination of bravery, creativity, and loyalty. Eli Parker embodies these traits. Eli waved, modestly. Ah, shucks, you're making me blush again. Lyra's blush deepened, though she managed a small smile. It is deserved. The citizens of Valoria gathered in the plazas, celebrating the alliance between human courage and Valorian precision. Music played, lights shimmered across the floating platforms, and the atmosphere was one of relief and hope. Eli watched the scene, realizing that humans, often underestimated, had made a real difference across the galaxy. You know, Eli said quietly to Lyra, humans aren't just lucky or strong. We think fast, adapt, and sometimes that's more powerful than any tech. Lyra nodded thoughtfully. I understand now. Courage, creativity, adaptability. These are the qualities that define humans. You have shown me that spirit matters as much as knowledge or weaponry. Eli smiled. And you've shown me that even the most disciplined and advanced civilization can benefit from a little unpredictability. Chaos isn't always bad. It can save lives. Lyra laughed, softly, a musical sound that warmed the evening air. Yes, it can. And sometimes it reveals the best in others. They walked through the city, passing by citizens who bowed or waved in respect. Eli waved back, feeling a rare sense of belonging among beings from across the galaxy. He had always known humans could make a difference, but seeing it on a planetary scale was extraordinary. As they reached a quiet observation deck overlooking the city, Lyra turned to him. Eli, your presence has changed my understanding. My assumptions about other species, about humans, were incomplete. You have taught me to value courage, ingenuity, and the ability to act despite uncertainty. Eli leaned on the railing, looking out at the floating platforms and glowing cityscape. Humans, we don't have fancy floating cities or centuries of precise training, but we have heart, creativity, and the ability to think on our feet. That counts for a lot when the stakes are high. Lyra's golden eyes met his, shining, with admiration and warmth. Indeed, it counts for everything. For a moment they stood in silence, letting the calm of the evening sink in. The city was safe, the Tharvans defeated, and yet their journey together had done more than protect a planet. It had built a bridge between two species, one based on trust, respect, and shared courage. Eli broke the silence with a grin. So, what happens now? Do I get a medal, or maybe a parade? Lyra laughed softly, shaking her head. Your reward is not medals. It is the knowledge that you have made a difference, that you, a human, have influenced the course of events for an entire world. Eli shrugged modestly. I'll take that. Way cooler than a medal anyway. As the twin suns set, Lyra led him to a quiet chamber in the palace, where they could reflect without interruption. She gestured toward a large window that overlooked the city. Eli, humans are remarkable, not for their technology nor for strength, but for spirit, courage, adaptability, loyalty. These are the true powers of your species. Eli leaned back, smiling. You've got it. Humans shine in ways others might not expect, and sometimes that's enough to change the galaxy. Lyra nodded, a faint blush on her cheeks. You have changed my perspective, and perhaps I have changed yours as well. Eli chuckled softly. Maybe, but I think we've just started learning from each other. Humans have plenty of surprises left. The palace doors opened and the Valorian council members entered, nodding with respect. Princess Lyra, Eli Parker, your alliance has not only saved Valoria, but also reminded us that bravery and ingenuity can come from unexpected sources, said Commander Seelan. Lyra smiled warmly. Indeed, and it is my honor to have worked with such a remarkable human. Eli waved casually. And it's my honor to have worked with the coolest princess in the galaxy. You know, just saying. Lyra's blush deepened, though a smile lingered on her lips. Perhaps human. Perhaps indeed. As night fell, Eli and Lyra walked through the palace gardens, glowing softly with bioluminescent plants. They spoke of their adventures, laughed at moments of near disaster, and reflected on what they had learned from one another. Each realized that courage, creativity, and trust were universal, transcending planets, species, and even the most advanced technologies. "You know," Eli said, leaning against a glowing tree, "humans might not be perfect, but when things get tough, we shine, we improvise, we fight with heart." Lyra's golden eyes glimmered in the soft light. "And that is what makes your species extraordinary. Not strength, not technology, spirit, courage, creativity, adaptability. You humans are remarkable," Eli grinned. "And you've shown me that even the most disciplined civilization can learn something new. We make a great team." Lyra smiled faintly, her cheeks glowing. "Indeed we do. Across worlds beyond expectations, we are stronger together." As the stars stretched endlessly above, Eli and Lyra stood together, looking toward the future. The galaxy was vast, filled with dangers, mysteries, and wonders yet unseen. But one truth was clear. Humans, with their courage, ingenuity, and unpredictability, could make a difference far beyond Earth. And Princess Lyra, with her wisdom and trust, had become not just an ally, but a friend. Eli chuckled softly. "So, ready for the next adventure, Princess?" Lyra's golden eyes sparkled. "Yes, human. Together we will face whatever the stars hold." The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across Valoria. Below, the citizens celebrated, safe and hopeful. And above, a human and a princess, two unlikely allies, looked toward the infinite expanse of space, their friendship and courage shining brighter than any star dot. No matter the challenges ahead, they had learned that courage, creativity, and trust could bridge worlds, and that sometimes the smallest sparks could ignite the greatest light across the universe. As they gazed into the endless stars, Eli smiled. "You know, humans might just be the galaxy's best-kept secret." Lyra's soft laughter followed him into the night. "Perhaps human. Perhaps indeed." Together they stepped forward, ready to face new adventures, their bond stronger than any threat, their spirits intertwined across worlds, leaving a legacy of courage and friendship that would echo among the stars for generations to come.